Imagine waking up with a surge of electricity coursing through your bloodstream. This is not ordinary energy. It is sharpness. It is the drive to dominate the entire day before your feet even touch the floor. Your mind feels laser-focused, and your body feels powerful enough to break through walls. This is not an illusion created by a supplement advertisement. This is what it feels like when your biological system is operating at full capacity. This is the sensation of testosterone when your system is not being sabotaged. But most men today no longer remember that feeling. Instead, you drag yourself out of bed as if you are moving underwater. There is a persistent mental fog between your ears that refuses to lift. By 2 in the afternoon, you are hunting for caffeine or sugar just to stay alert. You look in the mirror and wonder where that man went, the man who once felt dangerous. So you do what you were told. You eat breakfast, a snack, lunch, another snack, dinner, and another snack. You have heard it thousands of times from fitness experts shaking protein bottles. You need to eat every 3 hours to keep your metabolism active and your testosterone high. Today, I am going to introduce you to the villain you never realized was living in your blood, chronic insulin. More importantly, I will explain using science what actually happens to your testosterone when you practice long-term intermittent fasting. Before we go deeper into the mechanism, I want to hear from you. Have you ever tried intermittent fasting? On which day did you quit? Leave a comment below. I am listening. And if you care about your health, press the subscribe button now. When you eat every few hours throughout the day, your insulin level never has a chance to fall. It stays chronically elevated, covering your entire hormonal control system like a wet blanket. This is where it becomes vicious. Insulin does not just store fat. It actively blocks the signaling pathways the brain uses to communicate with the testes. Your hypothalamus is trying to send a message telling your body to produce more testosterone. But insulin stands in the middle like a nightclub bouncer. The signal never gets through. Your testes are waiting for instructions that never arrive. This is a battle for your biological sovereignty. You can lift all the weights you want. You can take all the zinc, ashwagandha, or tonkat ali you want. But if the signal is broken at the root, you are simply rearranging deck chairs on a sinking ship. Maybe you have tried intermittent fasting before. Maybe you made it through the first week and felt like your body was falling apart. Energy dropped, desire disappeared, so you quit. You told yourself that fasting ruined your hormones and that intermittent fasting was a scam. But here is the turning point. You did not wait long enough to experience the biological reversal. What happens to your testosterone after day 30 is completely different from what happens on day 3. Most men quit right before the biological reboot begins. Walk through this phase with me. You are on day 5 of your fasting window, and you feel worse than a collapsing stock portfolio. Your muscles look smaller. Your mood is at rock bottom. Your libido has packed its bags and left town. You look at yourself and think that you are starving your body and that, of course, your testosterone is dropping. This is the most important thing I can tell you right now. You are not broken. This is a process. And most men quit right here in the middle of what I call the stress gap. Why does your body react so negatively in the early days? And why is the rise in cortisol a feature rather than a flaw of human evolution? When you suddenly restrict your eating window, your body does not understand that you are following a health strategy. In our ancient nervous system, food scarcity meant danger. The natural reflex is for the adrenal glands to release cortisol like a fire hose. This is where the biology becomes ruthless. Testosterone and cortisol are locked in an inverse relationship. They sit on opposite ends of a seesaw. When one rises, the other must fall. Your body is making a survival decision. Should energy be invested in maintaining muscle and reproduction, or invested in finding the next meal to avoid starvation? The answer is always survival. Medicine calls this gonadotropin suppression. It is temporary, but it is real. Do not misunderstand this as a system failure. In reality, it is an evolutionary feature. When our ancestors could not find food, the body made them irritable, restless, and extremely alert. That rise in cortisol was designed to turn them into better hunters, sharper, more aggressive, more focused on tracking prey. It is similar to renovating a kitchen. Before you can install refined finishes, you must endure the demolition phase with hammering, dust, and chaos. This cortisol surge is that demolition phase. Studies published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism have shown that short-term fasting causes a temporary reduction in testosterone as cortisol rises. The key word here is temporary. Once your system realizes that you are not truly starving, but simply operating on a different rhythm, everything changes. Cortisol begins to retreat, and this is when the real machine switches on. Welcome to the other side of the battle. You are somewhere between week 2 and week 4. The fog that once weighed on your chest has lifted. You wake up with a level of mental clarity that feels almost unreal. Your energy is no longer a series of peaks and crashes driven by caffeine or carbohydrates. It is steady, durable, and sustained. Here is the part that confuses most men. Your total testosterone level on a blood test may not change very much. It may rise slightly or remain the same. Yet you feel like a completely different man. Why? Because the secret is not how much testosterone is circulating in your blood, but how sensitive your cells are to that hormone. We are talking about androgen receptor sensitivity. Your cells have small docking stations on their surface. When testosterone binds to these receptors, you gain strength, leadership, healthy aggression, and mental sharpness. When insulin remains chronically elevated due to constant eating, these receptors become desensitized. They stop listening. It is as if they are wearing noise-canceling headphones because there is too much insulin noise around them. Intermittent fasting rips those headphones off. Suddenly, the androgen receptors wake up. They become extremely responsive. Even an average testosterone level can now hit you like a high-speed train. You are using the resources you already have far more efficiently. A study from the University of Virginia found that men practicing intermittent fasting showed significantly improved androgen receptor expression in muscle tissue even when total testosterone levels did not change. You do not necessarily need more ammunition. You simply upgrade the weapon so it fires with greater accuracy and force. But that is not the entire story. Because as testosterone sensitivity rises, another silent hero begins to surge. This is the 2,000% increase in growth hormone. Why are growth hormone and testosterone strategic partners in protecting muscle mass after age 60? When you fast for 16 to 24 hours, something remarkable happens in the pituitary gland. Growth hormone begins flooding the system in massive quantities. Studies have documented increases of up to 2,000%. Let that number sink in. Growth hormone is the silent protector of male vitality. Think of testosterone and growth hormone as a business partnership. Testosterone is the architect that designs the frame of muscle and bone. Growth hormone is the construction foreman that ensures the design is executed and defended against the damage of time. Growth hormone mobilizes stored fat for fuel and is critically important for preserving lean muscle mass even when you are in a caloric deficit. At this point, many men become anxious. If I fast, will my muscles shrink from lack of protein? You have been conditioned to believe that you must consume protein every 3 hours to prevent your body from eating itself. That belief is flawed. Your body is not foolish. It is not a panicked machine that burns valuable furniture to heat the house while piles of dry wood and trash remain available. This is where we talk about autophagy, the self-eating mechanism that won the Nobel Prize in Medicine in 2016. When you temporarily stop taking in energy, an entire crew of cellular cleanup workers is activated. They move through every corner of your body, collecting waste, damaged proteins, aged cells, and weak mitochondria. Autophagy breaks down this debris and rebuilds it into new, healthier components. You are not losing muscle, you are refining it. After the second week, you may look slightly smaller in the mirror, but this is not muscle loss. It is the result of reduced water retention and inflammation. What remains beneath the skin is denser, harder, and more defined muscle. And here is a critical secret about a true testosterone thief that few people analyze deeply: visceral fat. Belly fat does not simply sit there ruining your appearance. It is a highly active endocrine organ that contains an enzyme called aromatase. Aromatase is a professional thief. It steals your valuable testosterone and converts it into estrogen. The more visceral fat you carry, the more you are silently feminizing your hormonal system. When intermittent fasting strips away this visceral fat, you are directly shutting down aromatase activity. It is like sealing a leak in a dam. Your testosterone is preserved, creating a stronger and more concentrated hormonal reservoir. The benefits of intermittent fasting do not stop at muscle and fat. They also directly affect your vascular system and your brain's command function. Why does fasting make men over 50 feel sharper like a hunter and improve bedroom performance? When you are in a fasted state, your brain does not slow down. It enters what can be described as hunt mode. The body releases high levels of norepinephrine and dopamine. This is not the temporary stimulation you get from sugar or social media. This is cold, focused alertness. From an evolutionary standpoint, this makes perfect sense. When food was scarce, our ancestors could not afford to be depressed or sluggish. They had to be at peak cognitive performance to plan, track, and survive. Intermittent fasting forces your brain to upgrade its operating system so it functions more efficiently. But there is an even deeper benefit: the reset of dopamine receptors. We are living in a world of constant overstimulation, fast food, phone screens, endless notifications. Your dopamine system is burned out. You feel numb. You lose passion. You lose the drive to pursue meaningful goals. Intermittent fasting forces a dopamine reset. When you stop flooding your system with easy pleasure from constant eating, your receptors begin to regain sensitivity. Suddenly, food tastes better. Challenges at work feel engaging again. Excitement for life returns. You are restoring your brain to its original factory settings. And do not forget your vascular system. Male performance is not determined by testosterone levels alone, but by whether your blood vessels can actually deliver that hormone to where it is needed. Intermittent fasting significantly improves endothelial function, the inner lining of your blood vessels. During fasting, the body increases nitric oxide production. This molecule is essential for vasodilation and healthy circulation. Better blood flow does not only mean improved performance in the gym, it also means a powerful revival in the bedroom. You are naturally upgrading your entire vascular network. So, how do you turn this 30-day experiment into a lifelong strategy? This is not a diet. Diets are prisons with expiration dates. What we are building is metabolic flexibility. This is a true biological superpower. It means your body can smoothly switch between burning glucose when it is available and burning fat when it is not. You are no longer controlled by your stomach. You are no longer a slave to the 3 o'clock hunger crash. You decide when to eat based on your goals and schedule, not because your body is throwing a tantrum. Imagine yourself 10 or 20 years from now. While most men your age are on an inevitable downward slope with expanding bellies, declining energy, falling testosterone, and dependence on blood pressure medication or sexual performance drugs, you are different. You carry low visceral fat. You have a hormonal profile of a man decades younger. You possess remarkable endurance. You are a man in his 50s or 60s who still carries the edge and presence of a warrior. Gentlemen, hunger is not an emergency. It is a signal. It is information. When you master hunger, you master instinct, and self-control is the highest expression of masculinity. Remember this principle. Feasting is for celebrating life, fasting is for cleansing it. You need both to become a complete and resilient human being. What is the most valuable lesson I want you to take with you today? Renewal does not come from what you add. It comes from what you are willing to remove, so your internal systems can breathe and regenerate. If this knowledge unlocked a missing piece for you, subscribe and share this video with the men who are still trapped in outdated beliefs. You are not here for entertainment, you are here to evolve. Thank you for walking this path with me. Maintain discipline and choose true masculine strength. I will see you at the peak of health.